10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. And my apologies again to those listening on CKLU 96.7 FM for the interesting beginning to the show today. We're trying out a new thing where we play multiple introductions of the show at the same time, just unsynced. So it sounds like you're going through a tunnel and there's sounds all over the place, and maybe, you know, it's kind of psychedelic at the same time. And so no, there was just an accident this morning, so I apologize. But anyone joining us on Facebook or YouTube would know nothing of it, or nothing different from our regular beginning of the show. So I apologize to those listening on CKLU. And I think it started because I was kind of poking fun at some of the stories that we'll be covering today. There's some kind of missed words and some, things go. I'm laughing at them and I'm saying, well, it's one of those days, I think, where glitches could happen, and we're kind of laughing. Billy said he had one of those days yesterday. And then lo and behold, the worst beginning on CKLU ever, an epic fail of a beginning. But anyways, it is what it is. Good morning, Billy. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
That was some instant karma there.
Yeah, isn't it true?
Like when I drive and I mutter, what an idiot that guy is, and then I just about hit somebody.
Yeah, I know. Life has its own way of making things like that happen. And so again, thanks for being with us on CKLU, and thanks for having the patience to listen to us each and every day. Thanks for being with us on Facebook or YouTube Live. We're thankful for you. This is your show on your station, and so make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, comment, and mainly comment, because this, again, is your show, and we want to be able to keep us on our toes and make sure that we're giving the right information. And so with that, good morning, Monique. Thanks for being with us this morning. Good morning, Judy. She says, my favorite show in the morning. Oh, well, wow. Well, thank you very much. And that's because it's your show. So good morning, David. Stay safe. Yes, we'll be talking about that and the weather coming up. And we'll be joined by Nick as well shortly, as she comes on after the sports and weather. So we'll be back after the weather, right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. As usual, today it's -3 at the moment. Feels like -7. But there is, this is one of the things we're laughing at. CBC on their website posted fog advisory, and here I am laughing at it. They made a mistake, and it's kind of funny. And but really, it's a snow warning. It's snow expected today and into Friday morning. Hazards are snow at times heavy, with local accumulations of, get this, 15 to 20 centimeters. Peak snowfall will be 1 to 3 centimeters per hour, beginning this afternoon and ending Friday morning. And snow will begin again in the afternoon, becoming mixed with ice pellets. So wonderful stuff at times, and through this evening as well, potentially reducing accumulations. Snow will begin to taper in intensity Friday morning, but be prepared to adjust your driving with changing road conditions. Visibility may be suddenly reduced at times in heavy snow. Surfaces such as highways, roads, walkways, you get the picture. Lots of snow mixed with ice pellets. It will be very messy beginning this afternoon going into tomorrow morning. Make sure to stay safe as David suggests each and every day on the show, today especially. So again, today, mainly cloudy, snow at times heavy, mixed with ice pellets, beginning early in the afternoon. So tonight, it will be a high of wind chill -7. And tonight, wind chill -9. So it's basically pretty much the same temperature-wise, very mild, but a lot of precipitation in the way of snow and ice pellets. Tomorrow, looking at your long range, high of -4, periods of snow even after the morning. You could look for possible periods of snow, but also good news for Saturday, sunny, -2, Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, +1, Monday, cloudy, -1, Tuesday, cloudy, +2, Wednesday, cloudy, and +1. So not good for all of those ice fishers this year. However, very, very mild winter, and we're heading right into the middle of February. There's only really one more month, a solid month of this, and then we're looking at spring temperatures anyways, unless there's a cold spell at the end. There's a look at your satellite. A lot of just mixed set of sun and clouds rolling into our area this afternoon with that weather alert. Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports right after this. And as usual, Sudbury Sports brought to you by that Sudbury Sports guy, Randy Pascal, and his website, sudburysports.com. The Sudbury Wolves will be in action Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but the only home game is Friday. They'll be home to close out a 4-game homestand against the Sarnia Sting Friday at the Sudbury Community Arena. 7:05 puck drop, as usual. The Wolves picked up 3 points in the last 3 games at home, with games against North Bay, Mississauga, and Barrie. Following a tough match against the Battalion, the Wolves faced off against Mississauga Steelheads Friday night. They won 4-0, and Nate Karachuk got his first OHL shutout and was also goalie of the week for the OHL. This Friday's game against the Sting will make their first visit to Sudbury this season. The Sting are led by Toronto Maple Leafs prospect Ty Voigt, who currently sits with 71 points on the season, and the Sting are second in the West Division, only trailing the Windsor Spitfires. So it's going to be a tough game Friday night. So it's going to be a wonderful game to be there for and watch. So make sure to get out there and watch it. Tickets are on sale now for Friday's game. greatersudbury.ca/tickets and at Sudbury Arena box office. Following Friday's game, they will be hitting the road, I believe, heading to Mississauga and Oshawa for Saturday and Sunday, respectively. Both those games can be caught on this station, cklu.ca, and if you're not able to make it out to tomorrow's game, you can also check out that game here on this station. In other news, also, SWSC, so Sudbury Wolves Sports and Entertainment, launches Pay It Forward Corporation. The Sudbury Wolves Sports and Entertainment Group are very excited to announce they have launched a new not-for-profit charity called SWSE Play It Forward Corporation, which will benefit minor sports organizations in the community as well as other local charities. Pay It Forward Corporation aims to receive and maintain funds for charitable organizations, promote public health through physical fitness programs and recreational facilities, and alleviate poverty by increasing access to physical activity and low-income youth and families. Dario Zulich, who is WSE owner and CEO, says it was very important for our organization to give back to the community in many different ways, especially as our organization continues to expand. The charity will have a special focus on growing grassroots sports here in Greater Sudbury, while also supporting a number of other local charitable initiatives. For more information, you can visit swseplayitforward.ca. That is Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports Guys website, sudburysports.com. We'll be back right after this with Nick, Billy, and some of your local headlines and your comments right after this. All right, and good morning, Nick. Thanks for hopping on. How are you doing? Okay, are you muted at the moment, or?
I am.
Well, that's
you know
good.
What? I usually wake up every day at 5 on purpose to do my morning routine. I do all the things. And, well, today was a different day. I slept through my snooze. How do you sleep through your snooze? I literally slept through the snooze.
I don't know. I guess I'm sure it's been done before. Billy, has it ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot for me not to sleep through my snooze.
I'm going to sleep through this noise.
Sometimes it becomes...
I need to get up.
Have you ever had that where it becomes part of your dream? Like the noise of your alarm and it's something in your dream and you're just interacting with it. Meanwhile, it's your alarm.
That's happened where I'm in my dream. I'm like, what is that annoying sound? Meh, meh, meh. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I'm sure it happens to many, many of us. Good morning, Jennifer. Just want to give a shout out to all of those joining us on the show. Jennifer, yes, love it too. Good morning, Dario. Thanks for being with us. Yeah, we just announced your new charitable initiative. Way to go on that. That's really cool. It's going to do a lot of good for this community for sure. And yep, holy wow. Good morning, Denise. Thanks for being with us this morning. Going to be a great show, I know. And also, good morning, Aaron and Nick and Billy from Costa Rica.
Oh,
Bob.
my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Bob.
Just had a birthday recently. Yep. And soaking up the sun in Costa Rica. Lots to talk about today, guys. So there's no shortage of stories. Want to stick with some of the local stories, and then there's some more broader stories I shared on our Sudbury News Facebook page. Good news in terms, school buses, first of all, let's start with that. I should have included that in the weather report. School buses today in the area, Sudbury and surrounding area, are indeed canceled. And I think they're canceled due to the fact that the weather is moving in this afternoon, where it's going to be treacherous for their drive home. You may look outside now and say, why are they canceled? Like some of us said this morning. But I think it's because they're anticipating the afternoon. And then we were talking, Nick, Billy and I earlier this morning, saying they never used to do that back in the day.
Never.
No. Very little cancellations as far as I can remember with school.
Yeah. And it would just be really interesting to know the statistics on accidents. But I guess it's children. People don't really want to risk it. But it's a lot of this routine. There's not much routine happening and lots of change that's happening to the kids too. That's not always good. But it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're at, right? Like they're just being more cautious, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do wish it was like that when I was in school, to tell you the truth. I think we have a consensus on that one. But I lived right behind my school. I could just walk, and so I was one of the closest people to my school. Billy was saying he was the furthest one on the bus route away from his school. Where were you in terms of your school, Nick, and all those that went?
I was the closest, so I was the last one to be picked up and the first one to be dropped off, so it was perfect.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you can be kind of last minute, sleep through your snooze and still get to school. Good morning, Diane. Thanks for being with us. Bon matin, correct. And let's see. Let's dive right into some of the local headlines today, because I want to I want to share, we talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, but the Sudbury Star picked up this story that LaFive, Greater Sudbury, to develop housing supply strategy. And we all agreed that that's a really great way to tackle the issue of people experiencing homelessness for one thing, and also just the housing crisis on another level. And it needs to be done, so it's good that they're tackling this. All levels of government acknowledge the importance of access to housing, but right now, many regions across the country are facing housing challenges. And yeah, it's good to acknowledge we are not the only one. And a lot of communities are facing the same types of things these days. Do you notice that? So you got the housing crisis, you have an opioid crisis, you have homelessness, and it's crime. It seems like we're all kind of facing the same thing in many of our communities. We're not alone in this at all.
No, we definitely aren't. Even across the world, it's
Yeah.
happening, a global problem.
Yeah, exactly. It is pretty much a global problem. And so in the story, it says Sudbury is not immune to these pressures, but there are deliberate steps we can take to minimize and overcome these difficulties. I believe now is the time to proactively address the spectrum of our community's housing needs, from emergency shelter spaces to multi-unit buildings and single-family detached bungalows. So I like the idea that they're also looking at emergency shelters as part of this plan. So they're not just building housing, they actually are looking at emergency shelters too.
But again, we know what happens when you grab homeless people and put them in a house. We know what happens. They destroy it. And
Well,
then
that's
they
why
get
I was
kicked out of
saying-
the system.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's good they're looking at emergency shelters too, which then that's where someone that has a hard time being housed in their own place, a shelter is different than an apartment, right? It's just a bed.
To me,
Yeah.
a shelter is like in between homes.
Yeah, it's emergency, right? It's so when you don't have a
Right.
home, at least you can get out of the cold, have a bed, and have some food, hopefully, something like that.
If you and maybe this is different now, but I was told that if you destroy any of your property, you're out of the system, and that you can never be put into a home ever again. So I wonder if these people will have access to these emergency.
That is that is a great question.
Because then
And yeah,
problem is still happening. So I'm seeing them build all these things, but like, why aren't we building a retreat? Why aren't we building a facility to help people with their mental health? And like, a lot of people want help. You can't just make a box and put people in it.
yeah. Billy, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I think the future is probably going to have some variation, maybe some hybrid model, some place that, all these falling through the cracks, it's a little more accommodating to, because again, if you have a lot of mental, challenges for these people, again, where they are destructive, what can you can't put them in with the people who they're a threat to,
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be a holistic approach. And I think I heard this in what you were saying too. What came to me was there's all these organizations that specialize in one thing or another. Like you have mental health over here, you have people that deal with homelessness over here. I would think there needs to be a plan where everyone's on the same page, and there's a concisive plan where I guess rehabilitation is the number one goal for a human being, to be in a place where they're safe, they're not threatening to others as well. And so it's for them individually, what do they need? And then where can they be, like you said, to rehabilitate and not be a threat to themselves or others around them. And it only can be done, I think, out of truly caring about an individual. It's I think, hard to do through programs and through money.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
But
we're going to have to get that at some
I'm
point.
hearing a lot about we're going to build some housing because of the housing problem.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing anything about rehabilitating. I'm not hearing anything about helping their mental health, how to help them make better decisions, how to involve them in the community and give them some some
Yeah.
extra help. Like there's zero conversation about that.
Well, and to go back to what we announced in the sports segment for the SWSE, the new Play It Forward Corporation. So this is an innovative kind of idea in order to help people that, wouldn't normally have a chance to get involved in sports. It looks like this particular initiative is going to get those people who couldn't afford it themselves active in sports, right? And so this is a really good idea that's holistic and makes sense on so many levels. If you're active doing sports, why would you then be getting into trouble or drugs or whatever, right? So I like that approach a lot.
No, I love it. There's a lot of organizations that are helping people in general. I'm sure there's a list of them, and a lot of times we're not aware. I'm talking about, I'm homeless, I'm a drug user.
Yeah, and I think it's incentivizing, in the proper direction. It seems like a lot of our systems have these little, I don't know, not quite loopholes, but, for example, if you're on assistance of some sort, a lot of times they will punish you if you start to do something, productive or look for part-time work or something. Yeah, basically, you are incentivized to basically not
stay there.
Yeah.
It's true.
Work
It's
to improve
almost
yourself.
Like if you get it, I like that, Billy. It's like if you get a job, okay, for 6 months, you can make as much money as you want. And then after 6 months, you don't need to be on the system. But people are afraid to lose that consistency because they are probably type of people that maybe change jobs often or lose jobs often, or, your mental health, you're good for 6 months and then you fall short and you don't show up to work, you get fired. Now the whole system has to happen again, and then you have to wait 4 or 6 weeks to even get onto the system.
Yeah. And again,
you're right.
yeah. And it requires all kinds of, people in the community doing, and I think if everyone was just focused on doing what they could, like this next story in the Sudbury Star, I just want to show the picture here, if I can get it up. PV Mart in the South End. They're donating a bunch of clothing, warm clothing, for people experiencing homelessness in Greater Sudbury, and they donated it to the Nickel Masonic Lodge. They have their annual drive clothing drive for the homeless, and so that's one initiative, and we can't stop doing things like this. Obviously, but that's not just the solution. But it's really great to see people doing things like that, and it's not going to go away. We talked about this extensively on the show yesterday about that, and we'll as Jen what's her nose says, Psaki, former White House spokesperson, says, we'll circle back to that story many times.
We'll circle back. Do you know why it's very important to donate clothes constantly, and why homeless individuals need tons of clothes? Is because they have no laundry services. So they literally take off their clothes and put it in the garbage.
I could see that. Yeah, for sure. And again, that's just it's a terrible thing. What about a laundry service? Yeah, exactly. There's so many things that can be done if we approach the situation. I think a think tank is a great idea for this type of thing. Like not just for an economic one, but a social think tank for how to get people rehabilitated instead of just putting the Band-Aids on everything.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's a lot of success stories out there. If you look through the news, like around the world, there's some great initiatives that, I think the wheel doesn't have to be invented here. It just has to be, discovered, sort of pull from what works in other places. It's
100%.
Probably transposes.
100%. If you take the best practices, proven best practices from other areas and adopt them here, like we said, we're not the only ones facing this. Other people have come up with solutions, right? So good to be open-minded. Good to, if we truly do care about our fellow human beings on this planet, I think we can accomplish this. I really do.
Do they actually care? Do they actually want to fix this problem? Because to me, it's common sense what you have to do. And these are all professionals that have access to so many more professionals and more services and tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation is not even happening. It's
Yeah.
let's build them some more units.
Well, and this is the thing, right? Because people are busy, and we even have our own issues that we're struggling through. Everyone
mean,
has challenges in life, right? So you're kind of dealing
government.
with your own. No, I know, and that's why it was a bit of a segue to get to what you're saying. But we would hope that our many, many, many tax dollars that we are giving each and every day to our government, that you would think and you would hope that would go towards the things we're talking about, and then that would be resolved. So you can think, okay, I'm paying tons of taxes to my society, to those in positions making decisions, so this should be dealt with. And again, I kind of see that municipally with this initiative, for this housing initiative, which I really appreciate the fact that they're addressing it. They're looking at emergency shelters, they're looking at small apartments, and then they're looking at single dwelling homes. So now's the time, I think, to have this conversation, because they're in the middle of developing this plan, right? So anyone who has great ideas, I think now's the time to kind of squeeze in there and get those ideas in this plan.
Mm-hmm. But speaking to what you're talking about, Nick, I think there is something to that, where there is the way the whole system is built. It's it's kind of like the joke that you hear in a lot of job, it's job security, kind of that element. I say if we had a wish and we cured the world's problems overnight, and got rid of disease and war and stuff, we'd go into the worst economic collapse the world has ever seen, because people, I don't think it's necessarily consciously all the time, but you don't want to eliminate your own job. So
Right.
you're always looking to increase your budget,
Yes.
and that's a lot of time your budgets are dependent upon how many people you service. So
It's a vicious
if
cycle.
you start attritioning that, your budget goes down, and I think there's a natural tendency to keep that going.
In Sensi, we call that arrows in, okay? You have to think arrows out. And when you're in arrows in, it's just never the way to think. There's always another way to make more money. There's always another opportunity. There's always opportunities. We're in an endless society of opportunities, but it's sad.
Yeah.
You're right that our system is built like that. Like, is there a cure for cancer? There will never be a cure for cancer.
There probably is, I would say. And I was going to use that example. So let's say someone does have a cure for cancer. Do you think the cancer industry would embrace it? Like, would you really have a job where your whole goal is to get yourself out of a job, which a lot of these foundations are, right? A lot of these organizations are. If you find the cure for whatever your organization is, Alzheimer's, whatever it is, and you're the CEO, you're the ED, executive director of the local chapter, do you really want a cure? It means you don't got a job now, like Billy was saying as well. So,
Yep.
but speaking of a job and keeping the economy going, Sudbury councillor Mike Parent, one of his platforms, if you remember when he was running was to get rid of red tape in the city. It was unanimous decision. It's time to tackle red tape at City Hall. And I'm talking about, I don't know if you've heard at all, Nick, that when you try to do business good morning, Rebecca. Thanks for being with us today. Wow. All the way from the USA. Thanks for being on. Thanks for checking in too. Hope you're doing well, you and your family. So I don't know if you heard this at all, that it's hard to do business in this city. Like, it's hard with all the permits and the red tape and stuff like that. It's actually been said that Sudbury is the hardest city to do business in with regards to the red tape. So during Tuesday's council meeting, Ward 5 Councillor Mike Parent introduced a motion aimed at addressing and reducing the bureaucracy and delays delays progress and hampers local enterprise. Parent said that while campaigning in advance for the election last fall, he listened to a number of businesses, large and small, about their frustrations with City Hall. Yeah, that rhymes. I like that. He said that there's probably some room for improvement. I'm not a subject matter expert on this, but I share the vision of a growing city. We are Northern Ontario's capital. So parents said council, quote unquote, owes it to stakeholders to sit down and learn more about local business landscapes here in town. Listen to the business owners. That's pretty earth-shattering.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of energy in that direction.
Yeah.
You hear that at a provincial level too.
Yeah. How about listen to the people that are experiencing it? And then we can move on to making the actual changes from those who know what they're talking about. This is a really great story. I don't know if you had a chance to look at this. Sudbury teen releases cookbook with the Make-A-Wish Canada Foundation. A grade 12 high school student from LaSalle, I believe, secondary, released a cookbook with his own creation with a personal touch and hopes that it inspires others. Ty Chauvin, is that correct pronunciation? 17 years old, goes to LaSalle Secondary High School, and has recently published his first book with the help of Make-A-Wish Canada.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
He was diagnosed with multiple health issues at birth, including heart disease, and has had to have multiple surgeries, the Rainbow District School Board said. In a news release recently, he found out that he also has a rare genetic syndrome. Despite challenges, Ty perseveres. He never gives up and is an inspiration to many. His determination is evident in all things he's done and endured, overcome, and accomplished, the school board said. When he was granted a wish from Make-A-Wish Canada, only one wish stood out for him, his very own cookbook. Ty is a giver, so he invited others to join him on his culinary journey. So it includes some of his favorite recipes from his family and friends, along with photos of his childhood and notes from loved ones and healthcare providers. I think that's
a very
very cool.
That's a very modest wish too.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of noble to make a wish. All these things you could to have a cookbook that's it's not like going to Disneyland or something.
Meeting his favorite celebrity, exactly. So it's kind of giving back. His wish is to give to others. And I think as, what a great, great. I actually want to get this cookbook just because I really want to support.
Yes.
In these pages, Ty says you'll find more than just, go ahead.
No, go on.
I think we have a bit of a delay today. We don't normally have that between our internets or whatever. In these pages, you'll find more than just delicious entrees and appetizing feasts. You'll discover a recipe for life, what it means to embrace the challenges and setbacks that life throws your way. What this journey through life has taught me is life is tasty when you choose to push through the pain and discover one thing that sets our soul on fire. He said his passion for cooking began at a young age, sitting in the kitchen with his dad. Pretty awesome.
Aww.
I like his byline there. Just tie it. It's kind of like, just do it.
Just tie it. Yeah, that's so awesome. Our life needs more examples like Ty. So hope that Ty's health, that his health can, be as good as it possibly can do considering his health conditions. And he can continue to be an inspiration to others. As just me reading this little article on this little good thing that he's doing in his life, has just impacted me personally just now. So
yeah, it
great.
Makes you be more appreciative of your own life. And if someone can go through so much and still, write a cookbook and still be inspiring and still be positive, that is pretty cool.
So Denise is wondering where she can find this cookbook. So the article is shared. It was from Northern Ontario CTV News. You can find that. I don't know are you looking for that, Billy, on the
Yeah.
story? So Billy's looking for that at the moment. So we see if we can find that. I'm sure if you Google his name and you Google cookbook, usually Amazon would be the way you do it, or there's other ways as well.
Yeah, I think there's a link in the article.
Oh,
here,
perfect.
so-
Excellent.
Yeah, there is a link. mywishonaplate.com.
Oh, great. So there's a website. mywishonaplate.com is where you can find the cookbook. And that's where I'm going to be finding the cookbook later today.
And if
Go ahead.
anybody has some nice, cool, inspiring stories, to send them in, because it would be nice to share the good news.
Definitely, yeah. You can reach us at sudburynews@gmail.com or on our messenger, Sudbury News. You can just message us. Either way, there you go. Share with us. Even on the show today, when you're commenting, if you have links to positive stories as well, feel free to share those. But again, sudburynews@gmail.com. You can email us or message us on Facebook. That's on our Sudbury News Facebook page. Now to some not so good news, which we seem to be talking about more than good news. And that's why Nick is obviously seeing that we need as much good news as possible as well. Former Sudbury police officer charged with sexual assault, exploitation, and many other things. So this is reported by Sudbury Star. And Sudbury
We kind of
Star.
skipped over a couple of articles, eh?
I did that on purpose because I wanted to get the
Why?
local stories, and then I wanted to.
All right. Oh, this is local. Oh, well, it's in Renfrew. Okay, I got it. Sorry.
Exactly.
The show must go on.
So in the case that dates back to 2007, Wayne Foster, a former Sudbury police officer, has been charged with 1 count of sexual assault and 1 count of sexual exploitation. The charges come at the direction of Joseph Martini, director of Ontario Special Investigations Unit. So that's the unit that investigates police allegations and charges. You know, it's supposed to be a third party kind of thing. Many people are skeptical about this. You know, they see also that all police officers get off, from the charges. And so here we have an example of something to the contrary of that, which I guess could instill some faith in the system. Martino has reasonable grounds to believe that former Greater Sudbury Police Service officer committed criminal offenses in 2007. One, I guess,
That was a while ago.
thing I can say is that's a long time ago.
So long ago.
Wow. So that's, I guess, a critique, I would say, definitely. Why did it have to take so long? How many years ago is that then? So 13 plus 3, so 16 years ago? That's a long time. I think they could have determined that possibly earlier, is my guess. Yeah.
Unless the victim came forward only
Yeah.
5 years ago, like that could have happened.
Yeah. See, some of the replies on the Facebook thread say more than one bad apple in that basket. And then also George Joseph Stevens says, all over the country, I know they use their power to protect. And I don't know if that's sarcastic or that's actually whatever. It says more replies too, and then it won't let me see any more replies. So Facebook has filtered them out, most relevant for some reason. I find that a lot. And just to let our viewers know, I have an AI monitor that Facebook offers that takes out swears. So if you're swearing on comments, either on this show or on you're commenting on any of the stories, it will just automatically not show it. Because I thought, one of the things we need to be is respectful. And I find if people are swearing, usually it's not for a good reason. It's like way the F to go, Ty, on your new cookbook. They usually don't say that. It's usually something derogatory, and so just to let everybody know that. And Julia in Costa Rica, good morning. Yes, to you. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, thanks, Denise. We know where to get the cookbook. And thanks for the company on the morning commute here in Houston, Texas. And that is Rebecca down in Houston now. Man, love Houston. You know how big Houston is in Texas? It's huge. It's a huge city. Texas is huge to begin with. Just ask anyone who's from there. Everything in Texas is bigger. One last local story. There was a dog sledding thingamajiggy going on, and I just wanted to... you have no control. Just stay on your feet. The fun side of dog sled racing in Northern Ontario. Getting exercise for high energy dogs is pushing more pet owners into dog sled racing. The lighter side of dog sledding is on full display in Wanap area of Sudbury, Ontario.
One of my customers, her daughter is a dog sledder racer.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's cool. She's from Chemi, and she's super cool. And she has, I believe, 3 dogs, and she goes all around Ontario to race her dogs. Yeah,
sounds fun.
Like she has her bicycle, even though there's no snow or enough snow. She's on like a bicycle thing, and the dogs pull her. Really cool.
And now, so I know Nick's been chomping at the bit to get to this story.
Yeah.
So this has been in the news quite a bit, but Oakville teacher with artificial Z-cup endowment and wig is back.
Wow. It's pathetic. I was actually looking at the next article, which is even more pathetic.
Yeah, well, let's just finish this one because it kind of segues right into the next one. So that you remember all the pictures of that teacher with the large prosthetic breasts coming to school, and it was a bit of a controversial thing. And I've never mentioned this news organization on this show before, but today it's going to be mentioned twice. So Rebel News went ahead and covered this story, and one of their reporters went to the school board meeting dressed as this teacher to kind of, show, give some of the other side of why people might take offense to this teacher going so out there kind of thing. Yeah. And he was kicked out of the meeting, and everyone left the meeting when he was there and said he's not allowed to be in the meeting. So his point was, why am I not allowed to be in this meeting dressed just of this teacher when the teacher themselves is allowed to be in the school dressed this way? And so no pictures now. That's the teacher's back, but the school board says no one's allowed to take pictures of the teacher in the school. Why do you think?
Yeah.
Because it'll get publicized again, and they'll get flack. And for some reason, the school board is really behind this teacher and not really looking at some of the maybe deeper issues of why this teacher is allowed, first of all, to do this, and what the impact could be on schools.
To children, like, this is just unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And
if people aren't,
no one's really thinking about the children here. They're thinking about this weirdo teacher.
And if people aren't familiar with this particular story, I've just shared the picture. And for those on the radio, hopefully you are familiar with the story. But as you can see in this picture, it's a shop teacher right beside a saw. And I'm just wondering if it's even safe to be wearing such large prosthetics as that for a safety reason alone. Can we get the safety people involved, because they are so involved a lot of the times in businesses and in our society, and just see if that's a safety issue alone, not even a societal moral issue? But speaking of societal moral issues,
actually in the article it says that you're not allowed to take a picture of Lemieux, but it says, however, just like the time a picture was taken of a student appearing to be vaping next to Lemieux, somebody did snap a frame of the teacher this week in the hallway.
They did, even though they weren't allowed. That's how we know that's how we know.
To happen.
Yeah, that's how we
gonna
know.
Happen, but I'm just saying, there's a kid who's vaping next to him in a hallway. Yeah. He doesn't look like he's a very professional teacher.
Yeah.
You can't be vaping in the hallway.
Well, maybe you can. Maybe it's okay for that school that they allow vaping in the hallway. Who knows? I don't know.
No, there's no way.
But I do know not anything goes in schools, apparently. Here's a story. It says high school student suspended, arrested for saying there's only 2 genders.
Wow.
In the name of
He was
diversity.
escorted.
Yeah,
Yes.
a Catholic school board in Renfrew suspended a student and had him arrested for saying that there are only two genders. So I guess anything doesn't go in the schools these days.
This is a Catholic school board.
So Josh Alexander is his name, was suspended last November over comments made about gender in class and told he couldn't return to class until he recanted. On Monday, Alexander returned to class and was promptly met by the vice principal, arrested by 2 local police officers, and charged with trespassing.
Wow.
The now seemingly former student of St. Joseph's Catholic School told the National Post in an interview that he made comments during a class discussion on gender. He said, "It was about male students using female washrooms," which is a controversial thing. I know a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that. Gender dysphoria and male breastfeeding. I didn't know that was a thing.
It's not a thing, Aaron. Males cannot breastfeed.
Really?
Only females.
Do you
It's
have
only a
proof?
female.
Do you have proof of that? Can you prove that on this show?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone was sharing their opinions on it. Any student who wanted to could participate, including the teacher. I said there were only
Why
two
are you
genders,
having
in my opinion, and you were born either male or female, and that got me into trouble. And then I said that gender doesn't trump biology.
Wow.
And those statements, in line with Catholic teaching, were what got him suspended from the school. So his doctrine, the doctrine of the Catholic Church, which it's a Catholic school board, that is what they claim as well. And he was only reiterating the doctrine of the Catholic Church, which says there's only two genders. And so for that, though, he was suspended and arrested and taken out of school unless he recanted his statement. A lawyer representing Alexander said the school won't let him attend classes again until he agrees, quote unquote, not to use the dead name of any transgender student, and agreed to exclude himself from 2 afternoon classes because those classes are attended by 2 transgender students who disapprove of Josh's religious beliefs. The very religious beliefs of the school that they are all attending. There's a lot of layers there. Many layers there.
What? It says Alexander told National Post that he's never dead named another student. What does dead named mean?
Billy knows this, yeah.
No, I'm not totally sure. I think it's their old name, like, if they were
Jim.
Frank before and
Yeah.
now they're Francis, you
Hey, Frank.
don't call them Frank.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't know this was a thing. All right.
Just kind of on a related note, I did come across a CTV story last night. It said Montana bill would allow students to misgender classmates. So it's kind of interesting the way they sort of phrased that headline. But
So it's almost like you have to make laws now to make it okay to not have to, address and have your own opinion, and it wouldn't offend someone to the point where you get arrested, right? So they're making it law that you're allowed to misgender now, right?
yeah, it seems like kind of a small reason to forego free speech, basically. The whole free speech thing, I think, is the thing at the core of this.
So why would you have to make a law that you have to pronounce somebody by their gender? It's legal. That's what Jordan Peterson was fighting over in Ontario. It's law. If I don't call someone by their pronoun, I could be arrested. That is law in Ontario now. So now Montana has to actually make a law to say you are allowed to misgender, so you don't have to do that. But why in the first place do any of those laws have to exist in the first place? If, like Billy is saying, if there was free speech to begin with, then it would just cover everything like a blanket. Is that right, Billy? Am I right on that or no?
I'm not sure. Sounds right. Is there a law? I was just thinking about that in Ontario that you can't misgender someone.
Yeah, that's what Jordan Peterson was fighting for 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And all that's available
I thought it was
online.
just with this institution, but
No, he was fighting the Ontario government to mandate speech.
okay.
He says once you start mandating speech
Yeah.
and telling me I'm allowed to say something or I'm not allowed to say something. We already have hate speech laws. They're already there. And so now if I say, thank you, sir, and you're like, don't call me sir. Are you, are you assuming
But, like,
my
you
gender?
look like a man.
No, but it's
look
wrong.
like a lot
You
of
need to
them-
know their gender.
a lot of
They
them-
got an app. They're making an app now that'll tell you got to look at your phone with the app on it to tell you the person's gender kind of thing. You should know everybody's pronouns and you should know the names of all the different pronouns. That's on you.
Wow. Right.
That's what our law says.
This makes zero sense.
So Lynn says, so the Catholic schools allow transgender students, but yet a divorced individual can't get married in the Catholic Church. I believe, maybe, yeah. Is that still the
That's
case?
still a thing?
I didn't know. I knew it was. I don't know
Yes.
if it's still the case. That's interesting if that is.
You're right. Actually, this was a long time ago, but my brother couldn't get married in a Catholic church because he's divorced.
Oh, there you go. And that was only a few years ago, or?
No, this is 10 years ago.
Okay. Now there's another story. SueStar.com was shared on the Sudbury Star Facebook page talking about free speech. I guess one of the liberal minister, breached charter by blocking Rebel News chief on Twitter. And there's a legal challenge now to do with that. So Ezra, what's his name again? Levant? The Rebel News guy?
Sounds right.
He was blocked by a minister in the Liberal government. Levant called him a convicted criminal, incompetent, and stupid in responding to the minister's post on Twitter, but says that he had the right to follow and comment on the minister. So he was talking about somebody. The reason why I'm struggling here is because my page is very small for some reason. Way smaller than it usually is. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to this then.
Sorry, so he was kicked out?
Ezra Levant of the Rebel News. Happens every day. Someone on Twitter gets fed up with criticism, abuse from another user on social media platform and blocks the person from their feed, right? We know that's what happens every day. But what if the Twitter account belongs to a federal cabinet minister and jamming the other individual essentially cuts off access to a form of government communication? That's the question at the heart of an intriguing constitutional challenge by right-wing provocateur Ezra Levant, who alleges that Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault violated his constitutional right of free expression when he Twitter blocked the Rebel News head. Levant called Guilbeault a convicted criminal, incompetent and stupid in responding to the minister's post on Twitter, but says he had the right to follow and comment on the minister. His application to the federal court says Section 2B of the Charter, which guarantees free expression and freedom of the press, also protects access to government information in order that meaningful discussion about it is possible. The case has yet to get a full hearing in court, but already is raising novel questions about government use of a social media platform often called a digital public square. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's trickier. Because, how much abuse should one person take before they block someone,
Yeah. And again, if he's breaking laws, like if he's saying things that are breaking the law, then it should go through the law that, that he's allowed to block him if it's in that.
I'm
that
sorry.
case.
We're talking about blocking online?
Yeah.
Like, right?
But a government.
This is pathetic. How is
but
it
a-
going to come?
But a government individual who communicates with the public through Twitter has blocked a member of the press from getting his tweets. So he no longer sees what the minister is saying, which is, it's almost like saying, I'm not sending you my faxes anymore of policies that we're looking at and making and things. So, Miles, I know Ezra Levant used to be a controversial news anchor on Sun News. Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Well,
He's over the top. There's no doubt about it. He's very out there. He's far right. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's pokes the bear at every opportunity, and I would find him to be like a mosquito myself. So at the same time, he does raise good questions.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
it's
just
just whether or
create
not that's an
another account.
official, you know.
Yeah.
I guess if that's the official sort of communication channel,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there needs to be a system where, you know, the information goes one way. I don't know. It's a tricky thing, I think.
Yeah, because he's commenting, and it does sound a bit like bullying what Ezra was doing back to the minister. There's no doubt about it. So again, it's not an open and shut thing. It's not like this show that's over now because we're past by a minute already, and the time just flies. I don't know how that even happens. It's kind of like that. So thanks, guys, for being with us today. And thanks, everyone, for commenting. Busy day today, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with some snow on the ground, and hopefully everyone can stay safe in the snowstorm. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone, for chiming in. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.